How's it going, Quiet Warriors? I know it's been a little bit since I have posted a podcast on just life is as everything happens, life just throws you curveballs, right? Like just life can be just hugely challenging. And dealing with like mental illness, I've talked before, like dealing with PTSD and depression and anxiety, all of that just comes to bear. And sometimes it just can throw you off and make things difficult, like really difficult. In your just the daily dealings, but also just in your relationships. Like I'm sure many of you have experienced that, where your relationships haven't been the best because of just how you feel, how you maybe how that translates into our actions. And that's kind of what's happened to me over the last few weeks. It's just dealing with that challenge. But it's crazy too, like, and part of it's some of my faith, some of it's just good counseling. And like I'll say, like, a shout out to the VA, at least in this area, that they're very much, I feel like, do very good with mental health. And and so, like, I have yeah, I feel like I'm on a better path, on a better, a better trajectory, so to speak. I went and bought a dog. It's been wonderful. Having a dog is just so, I didn't know, I didn't know what to expect with a dog, but he has been such a blessing in my life. Like, he's a loyal companion, like, and we got him at the shelter, and he's not he's not a pedigree dog or anything like that. He's just this really good dog, and he loves to go on walks. He loves attention, but he doesn't demand it. Um, he doesn't have very many bad habits. In fact, the only one that's kind of, and it's, I don't even know if it's that bad of a habit. He jumps up on you, but he doesn't lick you. That's how he says hi. And we try to work with him on that. He's gotten a lot better. But so that's been really good, and kind of helped me as an individual overcome some of my challenges, right? Some of these things that we deal with, or that I deal with, and with mental illness and mental health. And that's okay, right? I mean, I've learned so much about myself in the last 4 weeks, just becoming a better person, becoming more stable, might be the right way of putting it. And that, while going through these challenging times, I don't necessarily recommend it, but at the same time, there's a silver lining to it, in that I don't think I would become as as good of a person, or would not have learned the lessons that I need to learn, um, as I have now, right? Like, that's a given, I think. So with that, like, I've been thinking a lot, in Quiet Warriors, like what it means, and like a lot of it is mental health, right? A lot of it is helping men. Hopefully, when I talk about these things, if you're struggling in that area, if you're struggling with depression or anxiety, or you've been in war and been through PTSD, or had some trauma and are dealing with PTSD and stuff like that, like, I hope that maybe that I'm open about it, and that I'm talking about it, that doesn't that encourages you to recognize that it's part of our lives, right? It's not fun, it's not great, it's not something that we want, but at the same time, it is part of us. And like that, hopefully, that you're okay with it, in a sense that you'll go seek some help. There's nothing wrong with that, seeking counseling. Like, I do counseling daily. It's one of the best, something I look forward to, eh, every time it comes around. It comes usually happens on Monday. It's an opportunity to talk to a counselor, kind of talk about some of the things, and go back into my life a little bit. And here's the thing that I found in doing that. A lot of times I was really concerned about that. I was really worried about going back into my life, because it would be like, there's a lot of stigma to that, right? Like, oh, dealing with, childhood trauma and stuff. But it's actually real, right? It's actually real. And it's not that you're going to go back there and like, oh, my parents, did this to me or did that to me or whatever. That's not what you do. Although you do recognize that our parents were human beings that were doing the best that they could, and that sometimes what they did hurt. Sometimes it affected how we think and how we react to certain situations. And so going back and like recognizing those things, and recognizing and like healing from some of that hurt, if you will, it's just really helpful. It's been helpful for me. Like, I feel like I had some of the best parents in the world, but I mean, they weren't perfect. And there's certain things that happened in my childhood and in my life that affected me, right? Affected me, and that is still or continue to affect me. And so going back and thinking about those things and trying to understand it, because I think in the time when those things happen, we obviously don't have the mental agility, if you will, to handle it. But we, as we're older and we can go back and we can kind of, oh, okay, yeah, and heal from that. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing. And then it helps us to move forward in our lives and, in so many different areas, our relationships, maybe even our work, right? I know that sometimes how I perceive myself or some of these things that come out of my mental health issues, hold me back at my work, right? Like, and so being able to heal from those is just it's really really helpful. So again, as you're listening to these things, I hope that you start to recognize that, start to um not just recognize, but like that we can kind of remove the stigma from it, get the help that we need. Because here is the dirty secret, or not dirty secret's not the right way of putting it, but here's the secret is you're needed. As a man, you're needed, and you're needed to be your best. And there is some willpower in that. There is some, pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. There is, powering through certain situations. That's all part of it. But there's also healing, and there's also, fixing things in your life so that you can move forward, so that you can be the best, so you can be a great father, you can be a great example, you can be a great worker, you can make a difference in the world. Because I'm coming back to this, you're needed. You are 100% needed. The world needs you. They need men that are like us, that are quiet warriors. That men just get up, they do their duty, they take care of their families, and they do so without fanfare or complaint. And that we handle those things, but we also, in the course of doing that, we get hurt, whether that's physically or mentally, emotionally. And taking care of those things is not it's not weakness. It's like, I mean, some of you probably played football in high school or maybe even in college and stuff. And like if you got hurt, or even if you didn't get hurt, but you went through a game of football, you get nicked up, you get bruised, you get, beat up a little bit. Even if you don't quote unquote get injured, you still are getting nicked up. And you would go and you would get, take an ice bath. You would take care of yourself. You would rest your body. You would do the things that you needed to do so that you could be back ready to play the next game. And that's the same thing here. Like sometimes you got to take time to get healed up, both emotionally and physically. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no weakness in that. Just because it can't be seen doesn't mean it's not real. So again, that's something I hope that, as you listen to the Quiet Warrior, and if you subscribe to the podcast, stuff like that, that's what comes about. And like as we talk more and more, as we talk, I mean, we'll talk about other topics as well, but this really is to build up men. Everything that we do is to build up men. Like there's a lot of out there about talking about how to I don't know, uh they set the standard for men, and I think that's great, and I'm not gonna disparage that. Like those are good standards that we should all strive to obtain. But what I want to do here is just a little bit different. I want to build men up. I want them to find a place of compassion, of encouragement, and of expectation, right? Like that, and in that order, right? I want them to be able to feel like, hey, I'm accepted, and that I'm going to be encouraged, and that I can make and meet the standards that I need to meet in my life. That's important. And because no man should be left behind. Just like, in the military, we had that saying, no man left behind, right? Like that was something that was ground into you and ground into us. That's the same thing here in regular life, is we want to build up every man and help him become the best he can. Because again, I'm coming back to this, he's needed, you're needed. It's so important. And if my story can help you, awesome. And if the Quiet Warrior group and the Quiet Warrior products and the Quiet Warrior brand can help you, that's what we want. That's what this is all about. We sell vitamins. That's our main thing. We sell vitamins, and they work. They're very good. Storm Support is a fantastic supplement. It's a great vitamin, B vitamins, and the other ingredients. They help us. They help us with our energy. They help us with our focus. I just kind of funny thing is like I took a little break from it, just kind of, like I've been taking it for a couple, 2, 3 years now. And I took I was like, I wonder, what would happen, if I become immune to it, not immune to it, what I can't remember the right word, but sensitized, desensitized to it or whatever. And I could tell like my mental agility, if you will, began to decline. Like I wasn't as quick and as sharp. And so I got back on it and tried it. And so I know it works. I know it works, and it's great stuff. And so guys, but that's what we're going to do here. We're going to build this brand. We're going to build this out. We're going to make it awesome, you and it's going to be something that supports men. And that, again, the idea is that every man, right? Every man can be a quiet warrior. That's what we want. We want every man to find a home here, to know that they're going to find acceptance and compassion, that they're going to find, encouragement to be the best, and that we're going to then, help them measure up and hit those standards. So, Quiet Warriors, I'm just grateful to all of you guys. Every time I get on here, I get excited. Like I feel like I'm talking to my best friends and talking to you guys about just the great things that are going on in the world. And so, keep your heads up, recognize that you're needed, and let's just keep moving forward. Take time to care for yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Like there is nothing wrong with that. Sometimes we need to take care of ourselves. And if that means, taking some medicine, let's do it, right? If that means seeing a counselor, let's make it happen. That's not weakness. It is not weakness. It's something we need to do sometimes. Just again, if you're playing in a football game or you're doing something physical, we get banged up in it. We got to take care of ourselves, right? Same thing with our mental health, same thing with our emotional well-being. So, guys, I'm proud of you. Grateful for you. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys later. Take care. Bye bye.